across the sea of life, so much pain, warring divides. It's a shame we don't see how it can be. Oh, we need to smile at each other.
Assalamu alaikum, Sydney.
Reach for your brother, help one another. All we need is love. All we need to honor our mother, shelter our sisters, all to.
Good evening, world, Muslims in Australia and right around the globe. For all our listeners in the southern hemisphere, in the northern hemisphere, in Antarctica even, welcome to another episode of The Y Factor.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, it's good to be here.
Sure is. Jamal, you sound very different today.
That's because it's not Jamal Muhammad.
That's right. It's actually Mustafa Rishwani. Jamal has actually had to leave to South Australia to attend to some family matters. So our dua is with him over there. But brother Mustafa, our everything correspondent, is actually filling in for Jamal this week. So welcome to the program.
Well, it's good to be here.
So you're willing to co-host a show with me?
Co-host, I'm the host and you're the...
Okay, look, mate.
You're the underling.
There's some rules here, all right? I am the host of this show. I'm the anchor. I'm the everything of this show, and you're just a lead up. You're just a follow-up act. Okay?
No. Let's get back. We're co-hosting.
Okay. All right, we'll agree to disagree.
Balance.
Okay, we'll balance it out. Even though I'm much better than you.
No, hang on.
Everyone knows that.
We'll decide at the end of the show.
Okay. Our listeners can decide.
Yeah, our listeners can.
But nonetheless, it's a pleasure having you here today.
Alhamdulillah, it's good to be here.
Yeah, today's the 1st of December of 2011. How fast did the year fly?
I know, it's only like yesterday we were going through New Year's Eve and starting into uni and school and things like that.
SubhanAllah, man.
SubhanAllah.
Just every time after a year just flies by, it reminds me of one of the signs of the Day of Judgment, one of the minor signs, which is time will fly. And SubhanAllah, this year is no exception.
Yeah, no, seriously, it's unbelievable.
We've got some big headlines coming up, don't we, in terms of news?
We do. Internationally and locally, it's been a big week.
So tell me, Mustafa, what's been happening right around the world?
Well, there's all kinds of different things. We're going to start off with the a inquest into Syria and the crimes over there. We've got the Egyptian election. We've got Israel doing another thing to Palestine.
Surprise.
An embassy closing in the UK. And, big shocker, guess what's happened to the Norway killer? We'll soon find out. And a very special story from Muslim Village as well. Fantastic.
And in terms of local stories, if you remember Shannon Taylor, the world champion boxer we had on the show a few weeks back, he's actually been hospitalized, and we're going to get an exclusive. We're going to get exclusively in touch with one of the members from his team to see how he's actually going, and if all the rumours are true in regards to his drug overdose. So stay tuned for that. We've also got the Australian Afro boy Bilal Zreika making headlines. And there's plenty of other stories coming out. The Apple v Samsung battle saga continues. And something about body image for all those young people concerned about body image. Stay tuned. And we've also got a very awesome feature about, this lady called Ola El Hassan, who's starting this wonderful documentary called Locked Up, which is going to explore the female side of Muslim males who are incarcerated. So the mothers, the daughters, the wives, the sisters. We're going to hear all about that very soon. It's an action-packed episode, isn't it, Mustafa?
Oh, man, I'm excited. I can't wait to get into it.
Likewise, and for goodness, alhamdulillah, thank God there is no wacky segment because Jamal is not here.
Hey.
You're not going to get into it. If you do, I might have to cut you short. But we're not going to go on a wacky story frenzy. I hope not.
That's unfair. Listeners, if you want a wacky story segment, go online, jump onto our group and let us know.
Okay, we'll see how that goes, inshallah. Let's kick off the news headlines.
The Y Factor.
So we'll start off with some international news, starting off with Syria. UN-appointed investigators said today that Syrian security forces committed crimes against humanity, including torture of children, after orders from the top of Bashar al-Assad's regime. So, a panel interviewed 223 victims and witnesses, among them defectors from President Assad's security forces. So people from the inside are saying that they are doing these absolutely horrendous things. They had shoot-to-kill orders to crush demonstrators and cases of children being tortured to death.
That's disgusting.
That is unbelievable. Truly, great violence.
So basically the officials found a lot of cases of murders, rape and torture, which is not a surprise, especially if you live... Well, I guess I'm from the Sham, my parents are from Lebanon, but we're conscious of the politics, especially involved in Syria, and I'm pretty sure a Syrian Muslim out there would know 100-fold of what we do. But it's actually been documented. Like UN investigators have come in and actually documented these cases. They've interviewed 200 odd people, and honestly, the results are not surprising, but very shocking. Wallahi, they're very, very shocking.
And it's the first time that someone like that has been allowed to go in there and check out, all the victims and see what's actually going on. And to be honest, it's really taken me by surprise, really confronting.
And they even heard, the panel found that there were snipers, people who were assigned as snipers actually attacked people who were leading marches, and even those trying to rescue the wounded. So if for example, there's a 2,000 strong demonstration in Damascus in Syria, a sniper would shoot 2 or 3 people. If you go to help those 2 or 3 people that are wounded, you actually get shot yourself. This is how barbaric and brutal this regime is. And inshallah, we pray that freedom and justice goes to the Syrian people, just as it did for Gaddafi and Hosni Mubarak.
And they're only asking for freedom, they're not asking for that much, it's unbelievable. Well, it's very saddening. We hope that they do get their freedom and that Syria will one day be free and at peace.
Inshallah. Okay, on to some news from Egypt now. Unofficial results have actually come out from the first 2 days of Egypt's parliamentary elections, which showed that there is a dominant vote for the Islamic, and they actually have Islamists here, but I'm going to say Islamic candidates. I don't like the word Islamic in terms of semantics. Which is not surprising, alhamdulillah. So the powerful Muslim Brotherhood's political arm, the Freedom and Justice Party, or FJP, is holding a leading position, followed closely by the Noor Party, which represents the ultra-conservative Salafist school of Islam. And alhamdulillah, it's gone really well, I guess, from that regard.
The FJP actually is going to hold more than 50% of the votes, which is unbelievable. That's a really, really big swing towards them. Yeah,
I mean, look, we're not going to give any definite conclusions from today. The past 2 days have only included 1/3 of Egypt's 27, governorates. So there's plenty more elections to take place in different regions.
Yeah, the smaller villages and things like that are yet to be counted. But there is a strong Islamist view within them, a strong support for the Islamic Party.
Can we say Islamic? I don't like the word Islamist.
So fair enough. You are the main host. So there's a strong backing for the Islamic Party in the smaller villages. So it's looking like a good day for the Muslim Brotherhood.
And I think from a geopolitical perspective, Egypt being the largest country in the Arab world, and once it was one of the region's staunchest defenders of secular governance, is set to, inshallah, it's heading towards the direction of political Islam, which is, alhamdulillah, it's good signs as a Muslim, because we do believe in the hukum of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in Sharia law. So it'll be very interesting few months, man, to see how the elections eventuate from Egypt.
It's a great evolution from a year ago when we had Hosni Mubarak, eh?
Definitely.
The Y Factor.
So, sticking with the Middle East, Israel has ended a month-long freeze of $100 million in Palestinian tax revenue that actually threatened the collapse of President Mahmoud Abbas's Palestinian Authority and stirred international protests. The funds were withheld at the beginning of November in response to the Palestinian admission to the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, or UNESCO, and as a warning against further Palestinian moves to upgrade membership at the international body. They're actually holding them hostage.
Literally.
Financially hostage. It is unbelievable. It's very cruel. I mean, the Palestinians are only trying to just get what they deserve,
Yeah, they're all entitled to a political voice. And even them demanding a position on the UN Security Council is proving difficult. This, like you said, this hostage of finances for Palestine isn't looking promising.
And it's not any finances, $100 million. I mean, for a small country like Palestine, that is a lot. Even for a big country like Australia, that is a lot of money to be withheld.
Our prayers with Palestine during this, inshallah. On to Iran now. In response to Britain's strong sanctions on Iran, the UK has actually shut down the Iran embassy in Tehran and actually withdrawn their staff after the mission was attacked by protesters angry at the fresh sanctions against Iran's nuclear program. Now, the world seems to have a huge issue. Well, when I say the world, I'm talking about the superpowers, the US and the UK. The US not economically, Rashwani, you all know that. But in terms of their geopolitical, war strategy, they're very concerned with Iran's nuclear program. But no one says anything about Israel's or America's nuclear capacity. I think China now is starting to get some attention from the big players in the global community, but
nowhere near as much as Iran. I mean, these guys, they've shut down their embassy, and the sanctions are unfair. I mean, they're pushing them down. It's if any country should be allowed to do their own nuclear program. Why does Iran have to be restricted? You know, it's not very fair.
The Prime Minister of Britain, David Cameron, came down very strong against it, saying that they're going to take very tough action because windows were smashed, the offices were trashed, documents were set alight, and basically the blocks of the Iranian embassy, the UK embassy in Tehran were blocked off. But
now the Iranian embassy in the UK has actually been closed down as well.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's raising a lot of tensions between both nations.
Wow.
Yeah.
Also, Norway actually closed their embassy in response to the UK's move to close the UK embassy, and other European missions who have embassies in Iran actually considering following the same.
Wow. Yeah. Things could snowball very quickly. Let's hope not, though.
The Y Factor.
Since you mentioned Norway, Mohammed, guess what happened to that terrorist that killed 77 people in July?
He at least got 25 years minimum sentence.
Not a single year. He's been convicted of being insane, and he's going to spend the rest of his life in a psychiatric ward.
Oh my goodness. These days you can murder anyone and cry insanity.
Seriously. A mental evaluation found he inhabited a delusional universe and was psychotic at the time of the attacks. You never see that coming up when they accuse Arabs of being terrorists.
Oh my goodness. And they actually had an expert panel analyse his mental condition. 2 forensic psychiatrists actually said, and I quote, they uncovered a grandiose delusions whereby he believes he is to determine who is to live and who is to die. I don't know how that is a sufficient enough claim for insanity, which can get you off murdering 77 people in a violent rampage.
It's unbelievable. It's outrageous, to be honest with you. I mean, like the amount of Muslims that just here in Australia, who've been convicted of terrorism and haven't gone off on the insanity plea is unbelievable. But this man, who committed atrocious crimes, 77 people dead, including children, gets off on insanity. That is double standards.
Now, what's interesting, Mustafa, is his response. He said that the mass killing was an atrocious but necessary act to awaken Norway to the threat posed by Islam. But I think Norway's got threats inherent in its people if they've got lunatics like this bloke running around killing people and claiming insanity. I mean, if he's willing to make that premeditated response as to justify his killings, I don't think he can be insane.
He should rot in jail.
We suggest, Norway, you seriously reconsider your evaluation of this bloke and send him to prison for life. It's very soft. It's very, very soft.
That's what he deserves.
The Y Factor.
Now, on to some other news. Michael Jackson's doctor, Conrad Murray, has finally been sentenced to maximum of 4 years in jail after being convicted of involuntary manslaughter for the pop star's death.
Yeah, apparently he sat stoically with his hands crossed. As Superior Court Judge Michael Pastor repeatedly chastised him for what he called a horrific violation of trust while caring for Michael Jackson.
Now, honestly, my issue... There are a few issues I have with this story. Basically, if I would ask you this question, and to all our listeners out there, objectively, if the deceased wasn't Michael Jackson, right, the international king of pop, if it was just a normal person, would the verdict have been any different? Because I certainly think it was. I think the judge and the court system itself gave in to media influence, the influence of the world, and pressure from, I guess, politics from the grassroots level. I think... Yeah. And my second issue, aside from that question, is this open court system in America. How does it work? So they even use plain language, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. I watched the verdict, and the judge came out and he gave down his judgment, and it was all in like simple language. It was like he's talking on an interview with Today Show or something like that. You know, he was just saying that he was chastising him and he was telling him off, and I mean. As someone who studied law, right, I've read some of the judgments, and they use really complicated language here in Australia, you know. They explain the laws behind it. Whereas, it just sounded like he was playing on the emotions of the public, you know. Don't do this to the king of pop, you were being unjust, etc., etc. That's not, I mean, are we in a legal system? Isn't this a court? That's what I'm
saying. And basically, if you're unaware of how it works, in Australia, all our court cases are held in private. I guess just for the courtroom to hear. If you're not a part of the courtroom, you don't know about it unless you hear it from someone else, a third party. But the American court system tends to be open, which means public can enter, media can enter. There can be live, you watch it live streaming on the internet or on TV. And naturally, as a judge or as a jury, you're going to be influenced by, the media there, the live
circus,
attention
the media
there.
circus.
So that can eventually creep into your, judicial decision making and affect the verdict. And this guy, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to get into conspiracy theories as to who killed him and what have you. Our issue is just with the court system.
It looked like to me like an episode of Judge Judy. It seriously did. All the cameras flashing and the people going, and the people outside. It was just a circus.
The Y Factor.
The Royal Islamic Strategic Studies Center in Amman have named the 500 most influential Muslims in the world. And
drum roll for
the number one Muslim in the world is
waiting for my name, Mustafa.
Muhammad. No, it's not. Inshallah soon, maybe one day.
Inshallah. Okay, who actually won it?
So the winner was Saudi Arabian King Abdullah. He was named the number one Muslim. And wait for it, not done. Morocco's King Mohammed was number 2. Still not done.
Okay.
Number 3 was the Turkish Prime Minister Tayyip Erdogan.
Okay.
So
I agree with 2 of those. I don't mind the Moroccan king. I don't mind the Turkish president.
Not done though. Not done.
Okay.
4th and 5th places went to Jordan's King Abdullah and Iran's Supreme Leader Grand Ayatollah Saeed al-Khomeini.
Okay, all good.
So,
I like Erdogan. I think Erdogan is an honest leader who speaks the truth.
Influential wise, he's pretty influential. But if we're looking at the other leaders,
look, this is sourced from Muslim Village. So if you want to check out, we'll post a link on the Facebook page if you want to check it out.
Yeah, give us your thoughts.
Sorry, it was a reference by Muslim Village. The actual original source is Reuters. But the 500 most influential Muslims in the world have been found. And that were the top 5 that Rashwani just read out.
I got to be honest with you, Mohammed. I didn't agree. I agree a bit with Erdogan, but there are more influential Muslims. We look at the young man who began the protests in Egypt.
Absolutely.
The guy who's an executive at Google. He was interviewed by Time Magazine. Very well spoken young man.
By default, he should have won this award.
Yep.
He not only influenced Egypt, his action alone of instigating that entire protest, where 2 million odd, strong Egyptians were crying for freedom, instigated Tunisia, Libya, Syria. All these other countries followed suit in a domino effect from that one Muslim's act.
Yep.
So if you're talking about influence, I think it's clearly biased. They're targeting leaders. Obviously, it's maybe a list of... If you were to say the list of the world's top 500 Muslim leaders, okay. But
even then, we've had better leaders.
That's right.
Yeah. And we can also go on to say that Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas has more influence. He started this whole UN process, What about him? He should be in the top 5. There's I don't know.
I think we need to research more into the actual criteria of this organisation. They are based in Amman and Jordan, and they've come up with these findings. But I'd be very interested to see what the actual criteria is for determining, the world's top 500 Muslims.
Yeah. And listeners, if you disagree as well, jump on our group page and list your top 5 most influential Muslims in the world.
Yeah, we'd love to hear who you think, would be the top 5 Muslims, most influential Muslims right around the world, and tell us why. Give us a bit of an insight into your criteria.
My number 1 is Utah.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate Rashwani, but homosexuality is disallowed in Islam.
Astaghfirullah. I was talking about influential Muslims, brother.
Okay.
Not love. Come on, man.
Oh, okay. That's another topic for another day.
The Y Factor.
Okay, Mohammed, now moving on to local news.
That's right. We're actually going to start with some sad news. If you don't remember, Shannon Taylor, the world champion boxer we had on the program a few weeks back when Jamal and I interviewed him, he's actually been hospitalized in Wollongong after a suspected drug overdose. Now, what's frightening to know is he's actually on life support as we speak. And his friends and family are fearing for his life. Now, for the latest, from the Shannon Taylor team, we have a member of his team, Bilal, on the line right now. Bilal, thank you for your time. Can you tell us how he's going at the moment?
Thank you for having me. And yes, and he was very honoured to speak on your radio station 2-3 weeks ago. Well, the news was a shock to all of us over here, and we were actually supposed to take Zach Awad down and spar with him on Tuesday. And the amazing thing was, he rang me on Sunday. And I spoke to him for a good 40 minutes, and he was in good spirits. And he usually rings me every day. And then we got a shock on Monday. It was all over his Facebook. We got a phone call that, he's been hospitalised. And in the story, really, we don't know what really happened, because when I went down there on Monday, I sat with his father, and he wasn't too sure. But, according to the papers, they're saying that there was a third party involved, and he went to have a drink with a friend that just got out of prison. So really, nobody knows what really happened. But it was a sad sight to see him. I sat there with his mother. There was a lot of boxers there. Pricey was there. There was also that footy player, what's his name? Phil something, I can't remember his name. There were a lot of people there, and it was a sad sight to see him. They let us go into the intensive care unit, and I had the chance to see him, and we did our little prayers for him, inshallah. And our heart goes out to him and to his family, mainly his children and his wife back. May God send their blessings and tranquility upon them and ease their burden.
Inshallah. And Bilal, Shannon was telling us about his bout with Garth Woods in February. Do you think this will definitely affect it? I'm pretty sure it will have to be delayed for a few months just to make sure Shannon's back on track with his health.
Well, to tell you the truth, when I spoke to the nurses there, they said to me he was stable. He was still on that life support machine, but they said he was stable. So hopefully it doesn't. But if it does, there's more to life than boxing. But look, he's a fighter, Shannon Taylor, and he'll fight through this. The guy's a freak. He's the best athlete this country's ever seen. What he's done for Australian boxing, it's beyond what anyone can say. The guy's had a great amateur career, and then he turned professional. And the Garth Woods fight was set for February. So, but for now, we just want him to get better. But I don't think this will affect him because, according to the nurses, everything's fine with him, like his brain's functioning.
Okay, alhamdulillah. That's very good news to hear, Bilal. We thank you very much for your time and updating us on the condition of Shannon Taylor.
And thank you, Mohammed, for having us. And Shannon Taylor really liked the crew at the Y Factor, Holden Street, Lakemba, and I'll be sure to pass on the message that you send your love and your prayers with him, inshallah. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Bilal.
The Y Factor.
Yeah, that's some really sad news there. Inshallah khair. We wish him well. But moving on, Mohammed, tell me about this kid who had to cut off his afro.
Yeah, Bilal Zreika, who's 13 years old, is half Ethiopian and half Lebanese, is basically, on the verge of getting expelled because of his afro from an Islamic high school.
Yeah, Mazen Zreika is taking the Australian Islamic College in Rudi Hill to court over the treatment of his son Bilal, who was ordered away from school early this year until he changed his afro hairstyle.
That's a bit strict, and I mean, it's in his genes. I guess if he's Ethiopian, naturally
it's part of his culture as well, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's kind of like, even if you look at it Islamically, if you want to grow your hair, so long as it's all one length, and I don't think an afro is... it's predominantly all one length, but obviously the school has its very staunch procedures in renewal, but I can't believe it's making all the news headlines.
Yeah. I mean, they asked him to cut it off for 6 months, but I mean, I don't think it's such a big issue, to be honest. I mean, kid cutting off his hair, I was taught to cut off my hair when I was in high school.
Yeah, I think if it came to me, I'd just cut it off for the sake of not getting expelled. But the principal actually said, she told the family the hairstyle was deemed a mop and needed to be cut shorter. Now, the father, was very distraught at, his son being punished for his natural hairstyle. So we just found it very funny.
I disagree with the school over here. I think that he should be allowed to grow his haircut. It's a funky looking haircut, Yeah,
a bit of diversity in Islamic school.
Kid wants to express himself, go for it.
The Y Factor.
Now, moving on to the local political landscape. What's happening, Rishwani?
Big news for the Australian Labor Party now. They have been pushed to change their position on gay marriage after the Queensland Parliament passed laws to allow same-sex civil unions, a gay rights lobbyist group says.
So basically they're being persuaded to approve of same-sex marriage.
That's
Is that
correct.
What you're saying?
That's correct. Yep, they're being pushed, they're being lobbied to accept gay marriage. Now, we all know the power Greens have in the Parliament, so this could actually come through. This could actually be pushed through.
And how about the backbenchers of the Labor Party? Where are they swinging?
Yeah, so we got the Labor Party split between the left side and the right side, right, within the party. So the left side is in great support of this. I think backbencher Albanese, Minister Albanese, was pushing for earlier this week, and the left side really want it, but however, the right side, more conservative Labor governors, are staunchly against it.
My vote is with the Conservative. Do not allow gay marriage in this country. For the love of all that is sacred, do not allow gay marriage.
The Y Factor.
So now we're talking state politics, and I can smell some corruption in the air.
Yeah, big controversy coming out of a media inquiry into former New South Wales Minister Ian MacDonald, who apparently shared a night with an Asian prostitute.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah. He was having a meal at a Tuscany restaurant in Leichhardt with a property developer, Ron Medich, who had brought with him 3 different Asian prostitutes, of which Mr. MacDonald could choose one.
Yeah, and the former Labor power broker actually selected his favourite, took her to a hotel, and everything. The rest is history. Now, the controversy of this story is that there are some strings being pulled here that shouldn't have been pulled in the first place.
Yep. So we're talking about favours being made to ministers for certain favours in return. So there is an obvious reason why this man, Ron Medich, was a property developer having lunch with Ian MacDonald. We don't know the full details. I think the inquiry is the point of that. But what we do know is that there's a lot of dodgy dealings back then. And to be honest, it doesn't surprise me.
And the ICAC inquiry is continuing. There's a lot of money involved in some terms of some very unorthodox business practices that occurred with the company involving $6 million.
Yeah.
So
you can imagine these kind of things happening.
Money, prostitutes, politicians, not the best mix. You're set for a lot of controversy.
Keep your eye on it, listeners.
The Y Factor.
So, Mohammed, some more controversy in the technology world as well.
That's right. Apple v Samsung. The war continues. Now, Mustafa, you're an avid tech expert yourself. Update me. What's the latest? So, basically, Apple has tried vehemently to block Samsung from selling their latest tablet, the Samsung Galaxy Tab 10.1. In competition with Apple's own iPad, right? In Australia, right? So this is relevant for everyone listening.
Yes, this is local. So if you go down to your local Dick Smith or JB Hi-Fi, you will not be able to buy a Samsung Galaxy Tab.
Wow.
Because Apple has blocked it. However, with the recent development, that blockage has been removed and Samsung will soon be selling them, much to the dismay of Apple. Now, this has basically reignited the bitter feud between the tech giants Samsung and Apple. Now, we know Apple, with their tablet campaign, the iPads, and it's very natural for Samsung Galaxy to follow suit. But I'm very surprised that the High Court overturned the decision. And it's good to see. I like a bit of variety in the market, don't you, Mustafa? I think it's good to have a bit of choice, a bit of variety. It pushes all the different competitors to produce better stuff. You don't want just one kind of tab dominating the market. We want a variety, selection.
And the market, here's a surprising fact. The market for the tabloid computers is over $16 billion.
Yeah.
So it's quite evident why Samsung and Apple are at loggerheads about, this area of technology.
And I've used them both, and they're both great tablets to use, so it's great news for consumers.
The Y Factor.
So, moving right ahead, Mohammed, there's been a survey of young people. What's it found?
Well, basically, this survey has, revealed that body image is one of the main worries for young people. Now, for women, I understand, but surprisingly, there's been a significant increase in males. So, more young Australians are worried about school and study than ever and are struggling to cope with, life stresses, according to the annual survey of youth. And surprise, Rashwani, young women registered their highest concern about body image since the question was first asked in 2006 until now. That's 5 years later, and body image remains the number one issue for young people in this country.
Yeah, no, in the society we live in, it's not surprising at all. We've got all these different pressures from magazines and websites and images and celebrities and all these different things. You'd expect the stress to continue on body image and confidence and things like that.
Absolutely. Now, this survey is very credible. Mission Australia had its 10th national survey of young Australians, and this included 46,000 young people aged between 11 to 24. What's frightening for me is the 11 to 13, 14 range. There has been a substantial increase in terms of the female concern over body image. For females, naturally, it was a top issue. For males, for overall, it was ranked number 3. But nonetheless, as you said, body image is that I guess the thin body image is championed via entertainment means, and this is having a real effect on our young people in this country.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the stress levels, according to the survey, has gone up the scale really high. I mean, these people are finding it difficult to deal with. And if any of our listeners are finding it difficult to deal with, there's a lot of services out there that can help you out.
Absolutely. And, it's some good results that came out of this survey were issues such as suicide, sexuality and self-harm have dropped dramatically since 2008. So have drugs, family conflict, bullying and emotional abuse. So alhamdulillah, there's some positives coming out of it, but the body image is a real concern. So for all our sisters out there, don't let someone tell you otherwise. You are beautiful. Beautiful is in the eye of the beholder.
That's right.
And I always think to myself, everyone in the world is going to get married eventually. So if you think someone isn't beautiful, in someone else's eyes, they're gold. So
do you think you're beautiful, Mohammed? Do you think you're beautiful?
I don't want to flaunt myself on community radio, but no, I don't.
Mate, confidence levels, mate. Lift them up.
Honestly, Rishwani, everyone is beautiful in their own right. Everyone has, whether it's a habit, an attitude, something they do or say, the way they speak. They don't have to be Angelina Jolie or Brad Pitt, but nonetheless, everyone is beautiful in their own way. Let's just agree to that.
I know I'm beautiful.
Okay, fair enough.
The Y Factor.
Now, for our last piece of local news, some minister, Luke Simpkins, who's an MP for Cohen, has come out and said something about meat. What's going on, Rashwani?
Yeah, he's talked about our halal meat. Apparently, according to Mr. Simpkins, we are converting people unknowingly by supplying them with halal meat. Now, he's gone on to say that most of the meat now in Australia is actually halal, due to the fact that we supply Saudi Arabia and certain Arab countries with meat, and that this is a big controversy for Australians because we're making the average Australian barbecue a Muslim fest.
Wow.
Yeah.
So basically he's saying by eating snacks from the supermarket on the barbecue this summer, you're unknowingly being converted to Islam. Even though no shahada is involved. But in all seriousness, in a speech he delivered to Federal Parliament, he accused meat producers, including Harvey Beef, Ingham's and Steggles, of, and I quote, deceiving West Australians by not labelling their products as halal food. That's fair enough. The labelling I don't have an issue with, but it's what his reasoning was, which is what I have an issue with. This whole Islamification of Australia argument comes into play.
He said, he went on to say that, so when you go to Coles, Woolworths or IGA or any supermarket, you cannot then purchase your meat for the Aussie barbecue without the influence of this minority religion. Now, I think he's a bit confused, don't you think, Mohammed?
Yeah, I think he needs an update. I think he needs to go to a halal workshop. Just get a real rundown of what halal
I don't think he quite knows what halal food actually is.
You know what it is, Rashwani? Just bribe him with food. Any non-Muslim who has an issue with Islam, invite him over for some tabuli or jej mishwi or wada anib, and the person will shut up and he'll love you and he'll come over your house.
Yeah, he won't have any complaints about halal food after that, eh?
That's the Y Factor solution. So if you're listening, Mr. Luke Simpkins, ahla wa sahla, come to my house. I live at I'm not going to say where any bad, but you can come to Howden Street, Lakemba, and we'll take you down to Hariri's Chicken or Jasmine restaurant. Yeah, and we'll give you we'll shove some tabbouleh down your throat out of love. I mean, not to choke you or anything, but out of love.
We'll see how Muslim you are after that, eh?
The Y Factor.
Far out, man. That was a long news section, eh?
It was actually very, very long. Like, we covered a lot of stories.
Yeah, covered a lot of great. Is it normally that long, Mohammed?
Not really, but I guess this week a lot was happening internationally and locally.
Action-packed, yeah.
We tried to include everything as much as we could in this week's episode.
So, what's this documentary coming out, Mohammed?
Well, basically, after the break, guys, stay tuned because this wonderful sister called Ola El Hassan, who's the creative director of this up-and-coming documentary, is basically called Locked Up: Pride, Freedom and Family Trials. Essentially, they're going to explore the female side of boys, Muslim males who are incarcerated or locked up. So, Rashwani, basically, we always hear about Muslim boys who are locked up and they tend to get a lot of the attention, but we never, look at the other side of the fence, the females who are involved.
Yeah. I mean, we always ignore the fact that the one person being incarcerated affects many people all around them, and their family, their friends, their sisters, their mothers, their daughters, their sons, Going to jail was not just a personal experience, Everyone around you is going to be affected by it.
Absolutely, and I think it's important. It's very important for everyone to listen to this. This up and coming, documentary and interview after the break. But she basically talks about we had a brief chat. She basically talks about the silent sufferers of those who are incarcerated, which are the females, because they just soldier on. The mum continues on, the wife continues on, adding on the extra burden. She has to play the role of a husband if her husband is locked up, and the kids have no father, so she's got to become a fatherly figure as well as being the nurturing, loving mother. So it's a very interesting. I think
it's tough. It's tough on them.
Very tough. Yeah, it is indeed very tough. But after the break, stay tuned. For the Y Factor, we've got that interview coming right up.
Very exciting, very interesting.
Do not leave, do not go anywhere. Get some super glue and stick it on your backside and sit in your chair. Have Facebook open, we don't mind, as long as you're listening to the show. We'll be right back after the break on the
Y Factor
on 87.6 FM.
If you're a young female Muslim looking for a private hairdresser, then look no further. Ladies Only Hair and Beauty Lounge Room is a private female-friendly salon with locations in Auburn and Bankstown. Ladies Only provide hair services including colours, extensions, style cuts, keratin, waxing, IPL hair removal, bridal makeup and hair, including much more. Strictly no men allowed, and there's also video intercom upon entry for your peace of mind.
The Y Factor.
Exclusive offer for all Y Factor listeners. Ladies Only is offering 20% off all services until mid-December 2011. This offer is exclusive to the Auburn store only. For general inquiries, contact 1300 452 399, and for the exclusive Y Factor offer, contact Rima on 9643 5719.
This is Omar Regan, and you're listening to Y Factor.
The Y Factor, an amazing radio station. If you're not listening to the Y Factor, you're probably not doing much.
I think the likes of Alan Jones and Ray Hadley are sort of keeping a close eye on you guys.
This is the segment to listen to. There's nothing better than this. It beats anything else.
Yeah, man, if you don't listen to the Y Factor, you are a bloody fool.
Y Factor Radio, the best radio station in Australia.
Oh, mountains of Mecca, what can you say of the day that Abraham passed your way? And he was instructed by God to build a house of peace where people will pray, and they will come on every lean camel and out of every ravine for the purpose of praising Allah, to glorify Allah.
Welcome back to the Y Factor listeners. With me I have Ola El Hassan, who is the creative director of an up-and-coming documentary titled Locked Up: Pride, Freedom and Family Trials. Assalamu alaikum, Ola, and welcome to the program.
Alaikum assalam, Mohammed.
Firstly, what's this documentary all about?
Okay. Locked Up, as you said, Pride, Freedom and Family Trials, is a documentary that follows the lives of young males who've been incarcerated and their families. It looks at the impact of the incarceration from their perspective, what sort of impact it's had on them, and also explores the difficulties that they have once they need to come back out and integrate into the community. But it also looks more primarily at the women in those men's lives, the mothers, the wives, the sisters, the daughters, the impact that it's had on them. I guess it's really following women, and this has not been done before. So that's what the documentary is really about.
Fantastic. And it's an exploratory documentary, right?
Yep, that's right.
Is there a reason why you chose that medium?
Okay. I guess I don't want to script anything. I want to take it as it is. I don't want to, have preconceived ideas of it. I don't want to, allow my views or whatever I've experienced with young people, working with young people over the years, to influence where the documentary goes. It really is about giving them a voice. And I believe if you're going to give an authentic voice, you have to actually go with the flow. You can't preempt anything. And if it means it's a great experience, then it's a great experience. If it's a bad experience, it's a bad experience. And that's what we're all about.
That makes sense. And how did the idea exactly come about? I mean, you've been a social worker for 10 years in the Canterbury, Bankstown and St George region.
Yeah.
Is it within those 10 years you realise, wow, this is an issue that our community has seriously lacked or neglected?
Yeah. I guess over the years, as you would say, like the pillars in my career, I've learned a little bit. They've sort of come together, and then you have that moment. And I had that moment. It was
that epiphany.
Yeah, or as Oprah says, an aha moment. But
we don't like Oprah on this show. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Well, in 2009, I think at the end of 2009, it's when it really all came together for me. I've always been interested in the trials and tribulations of the families of those that have been incarcerated. Not to take away from the young males' experiences, but really the untold stories, the untold difficulties that these women have. And usually, I say women because it really is usually a lot of the times it is the women. Their struggle is just, pulls at my heart, and I've seen the hardships that they've had to go through to go visit their sons, their husbands, their brothers, and usually these detention centres or jails are quite far from the Sydney Metropolitan Centre, and a lot of the times, these mothers may not speak English properly, or the sisters are working or involved in university or college or TAFE or have their own families. And their weekends are spent, travelling to visit their brothers and support their loved ones or their husbands. And it really does take a toll on them. And I've always been really interested in documenting that. But like I said, in 2009, it sort of came together, and I never really had a vehicle or a way of wanting to do it. But through Fadl, he's the producer for Film Motion Production, we teamed up, and that's how I came about with this concept.
Speaking of Fadl, talk to us about the team involved in this great documentary.
Okay. Well, it's myself, as I mentioned earlier, a social worker and, who's worked with young people and their families for over 10 years. We've got Fadl. Everybody knows, or I would say almost everybody knows Fadl, or Fred L. Harris.
I like to call him Lex Luthor.
Oh, okay, 'cause I'm sure he'll like that. But yeah, the documentary man for the community. I chose Fadl not only because he's well trusted in the community, but also that he shared that passion. He knew what I was talking about when I spoke to him about the synopsis, and I was telling him my idea. I could just see him shaking his head, like, yeah, I get it. It wasn't just about teaming up with somebody. I wanted to team up with the right people, and that's why I chose Fadl. We also have Hanan Dover, who's a psychologist from the community who obviously needs no introduction. And she's also supporting us with, gaining access to families and hopefully, inshallah, some trust and getting people on board to support this documentary. We also have Sumaya Hadid, a criminologist from the community. Sumaya has done a lot of research in the industry of family and the role family plays in the lives of young males, Middle Eastern males, and crime. She's also very, very passionate about the same thing. And Sumaya and I have had many, many, many late conversations at night about this, and I share my passion and maybe even my frustration about the documentary not getting to where I want it to go, or how come it's not happening, or I came up with an obstacle and I address it with Sumaya. So yeah, she also gets it. And so all three of those people, whether it be Hanan, Fadl and Sumaya, I think that, like I said, they get it. When I shared it with them, I could see from their face that they were interested. They had that passion and that spark, and that's what I was really looking for.
Inshallah, very dynamic team indeed.
The Y Factor.
Just from your experience, do you think, are there mechanisms in place, support mechanisms in place for the families of those incarcerated, or is there a big loophole in the system? Do you think, are you addressing this issue, exploring it because you want something to be done post it, or are you just going to give these women a voice?
Okay. Of course, I think that we can never have enough services out there, especially in the industry of community welfare, community support and family support in general. I think those areas are really, we do need a lot more support. I would like to see a lot more organisations, whether they be Muslim or even organisations that are a lot more culturally sensitive, supporting and jumping on board and helping these families. As everybody out there knows, that the Middle Eastern community has issues that are sort of sensitive to us in general, and then you've got the other factor, which is the Islamic factor, and then we've got other stuff that comes with that that lead to topics being quite sensitive, and the way the families are handled or dealt with, and it would be great to see more of our community organisations getting on board and saying, yes, I want to help, I want to do more. I don't think we have an idea of how hard it is on these families once their sons, their husbands, their brothers or their fathers are incarcerated and locked away. The impact that it has on them is financial, it's physical, it's emotional. The dynamics of the family change, especially if it's a woman that's lost her husband who's had to go on the inside. She now has to take on and wear double hats, and she's got to play the role of the mother, the daughter, the sister, a lot of other people she's got to answer to. The mother who loses a son, the son could have had a really important role. As we all know in our culture and our religion, the sons are meant to step up to the plate and help out, and they play a very, very particular role. And if they're gone, what happens then? The sisters have to step in, and it changes. It really does. And sometimes they are doing it on their own. They get isolated in the community. Let's be real here. We do judge them. We almost, from the clients that I've seen, And the mothers, what they tell me is that almost all of a sudden everybody's got an opinion on what they could have done differently.
Yeah.
If that was my son, I would have done this. And why didn't you know he was involved in that? And you know what? It's done. The dust is all settled. Let's support these families. You know, why do they have to almost serve their own sentence within the community? They didn't commit the crime. Let's support them. That's the Islamic way, isn't it? At the end of the day, why do we need to judge? You know, judgment should not be a factor here. We need to support them, get on board. How can we help you, sister? You know, some of these mothers are driving an hour and a half to 2 hours to get to their sons or their husbands or their brothers, and that's really what it's about.
Any particular case studies in the past, your past experience that really stood out for you, that you just really went, wow, I really need to get the ball rolling with this?
Yeah. One family that really stands out for me is their son was incarcerated. This was many years ago. He was a younger kid and the mother was being supported through a service. When she went to visit her son, I mean, the distance that she had to go to visit him, she was packing the food in the morning. A lot of listeners out there who do have members of their family that are incarcerated or locked up would know that, you know, you don't just get up and go. There's a lot of things involved in that day, whether it's packing a lunch or a special, meal that you want to share with them, or you're gathering products that they're needing on the inside. And I'll never forget this mother, what she said to me. She said, I should be preparing to go on a picnic, not to go visit my son. And that's actually one of the most remarkable comments that I would say always resonates in my mind. And that's what I'm really trying to raise, is the hardships that they go through, raising that awareness that it's not just, okay, I'm going to go visit my son today. Here we go. There is a process, and it's a very lengthy and tiring process.
Seems like a double sentence, doesn't it, for the family and the person incarcerated?
Yeah, definitely. I would say absolutely. But it's almost with the mothers and these women, it's a unjustified sentence.
I like how you're paying a lot of attention to the female side of it, the sort of untold stories of the females involved in, you know, a family member who's incarcerated. Is there a reason behind that?
Yeah, definitely, Mohammed. I guess I'm doing this because in Islam, and especially, actually, I'll go back to say that in the Middle Eastern cultures, and then more specifically in Islam, the mother's role is so important. I don't believe that any other religion has focused so much on the mother's role and has placed, I mean, they do, but not as much as Islam. I mean, you know, we've all been raised that if you say even oof in front of your mum, you're not going to Jannah. You know? So it's such a, enormous, there's so much guilt riding on bringing shame on your mother and your sisters, and whether you're a female or any male. And so I want to really touch on that, because I think that, with the mother, bringing shame to her or the family really weighs heavily on anyone perpetrating an act of shame or defying the mother's consent. And yet, unfortunately, for a lot of our sons and our brothers, that's almost like an afterthought. It's something they think about later with regret and shame. And I wish I didn't do this, and I wish I couldn't have, chosen a different path. And that's all very well, and that's great, alhamdulillah, if that's the lifestyle that they wake up to and go, you know what, I do want to make a change. But what happens to these mums? Everyone knows, you open up a mum's heart, that guilt, the azab, that those tears, those lonely nights that she's cried many times over her son or her husband or her brother, missing them, not being able to help them, not being able to, provide for them and care after them and wipe away their tears. That's a heavy burden for a mother. Just
touching on that point, you're talking about, I guess, the psychology of crime and how, especially Muslim boys tend to resonate, I guess, crime as being something that's glorified and looking up to their older cousins or older members of the community who are involved in crime without having much regard for their immediate family. And as you said, post their conviction or post their sentence, they realise, well, this is not only going to affect my life and change my life, I've also got a whole family that's going to suffer for the next 10, 15, 25 years.
Yeah, absolutely. And what an opportunity for them to share that, so that other brothers can learn from their stories and shed some light on the hazab that they've gone through, or the hardships that they experience, the realities of being locked up. Let's share it now with our young kids who are growing up thinking that it is an easy process, or thinking that it's okay. I'm sure nobody commits a crime thinking that it's okay, I'm going to go in and come out. But, we want people to really open up dialogue and go, I really need to change my life. I need to get help. I don't want it to impact my family in the way that it might. And if there's brothers out there that are willing to come forward and share their stories, that would be great too.
Well, that's good timing, because it leads right into the next question. You're actually doing a call out for some subjects to be involved in the documentary. So for all our listeners out there, who exactly are you looking for?
Yeah. Okay, I'm looking for as many brothers who have been on the inside who would be willing to come forward and just share their stories with me. Let me know, what was it like when you were on the inside? What changed for you? Have you changed your lifestyle once you've come out? Why did you do that? What was it that helped you get on the right path or get some help, or also shedding some light on the struggles that they go through. I know a guy who was telling me how hard it was to, once he got a job and he was trying to reintegrate into the community, nobody would let him get to know any of their daughters. And this was a really good guy. Like Haram, he really changed and he reformed and rehabilitated himself, and he was really trying to make a change for himself and for the future. But nobody was giving him a chance. And I think it'd be really good for people to hear that, because hopefully two things will happen. Either we'll understand how hard it is for them to reintegrate, and then we could support these brothers once they've come out. But two, for our other brothers to learn from those mistakes and go, you know what, I do want to change my life. I want to make a difference, and I'm going to go get help, because I don't want my mother, my sister, my wife, my family to go through what somebody else's mother and wife and sister has gone through.
And I'm assuming the mothers as well of these boys who have been incarcerated?
Yes, absolutely. The main character would be the mothers, or the main subject. The whole documentary is revolved around them. Like I said, the other brother and a brother that's on the inside, it'd be great to hear their stories. But the main subject to this documentary, the core, I would say the heart of the documentary, is the mother, the sister, a wife, a daughter, somebody who's willing to come forward and just let us, follow them around, see what they're going through, let us occupy them, accompany them on one of their trips to the jail or to the detention centre, and just share their story with us, open up to us, let us know what it feels like, so other people can, like I said earlier, raise awareness so people aren't judging them, because at the end of the day, they haven't done anything wrong. And we want to break down those barriers so that they in turn can get more support, and support from the community, support from the wider community, but also the immediate community.
The Y Factor.
How's the support been for the project thus far? Have Muslims heard about it and, have shown their full support?
Yeah.
Has there been some obstacles involved?
Yeah. Absolutely. Of course, the main support we've had is from professionals in the community who are working with some of these families and working with some of the boys on the inside or even on the outside once they've come out and they are, trying to transform their life. They've all said definitely that everyone's shown me support and said that this is long overdue. It's also been something that hasn't been done in our community. Nobody's ever tried to document. We're quick to run and hear the stories of the brothers. We're quick to run and hear the stories of somebody maybe on the inside, but we forget the untold stories of those women. Again, women in our community who bear the heartache and the azab, and sometimes don't call out for help because they're almost like silent sufferers. They're happy to do it. They soldier on. They're resilient, but yet, they too can be in need of some support. I guess one of the other obstacles, Mohammed, that I've found is that some people in the community are maybe not wanting to go on air. I understand that. They probably don't want to have their faces filmed because they're worried again about the shame and about the guilt that might be put on them. What I say is this is their time, inshallah, to break down those barriers. If they don't come on air and show us their face and tell their story, how are we going to change things for everybody else? How are we going to let people know how hard it is for them and their families, what they're going through? Maybe through their story, another mother, another sister, another wife can get support. Maybe they won't have to go through the judgments or the criticism our community can sometimes put out there, and we can't do that unless people are willing to take that risk and put themselves out there and allow us to film them and follow them. If people want to come forward and not give out their name, they just want to talk to me over the phone and share their story confidentially, I'm happy to even do that. If they just want to get a feel for the team and see what we're about, people need to feel like they're in good hands, we're happy to also do that. As you would know, legally we can't air anything without their permission anyway, so they're going to be in safe hands, inshallah, and we would never take advantage of that opportunity. Maybe that would be the first step. If people want to take a step, is pick up the phone, send me an email if they're happy to do that.
And we commend your efforts on, shedding light on a topic that is somewhat taboo. But like as you're saying, it's a reality pretty much. And the silent sufferers of this reality are the females. Yeah. So inshallah, if any females are out there listening who know any brothers who have been incarcerated and any families who have suffered who are willing to speak up, and this is for the long-term benefit of the community, as you
Absolutely.
said, inshallah, please go to their Facebook page. You have a Facebook page, right?
We do, yes. I don't know how to use it properly, but we have one.
It's called Locked Up, Pride, Freedom and Family Trials. And also they can contact you via email and phone number, right?
Yep,
Is
that's
that right? What's
Yep.
your email address, Ola?
It's lockedup2009 at hotmail.com. So lockedup being LOCKEDUP 2009 at hotmail.com. And my contact number is 04503 71099.
And we will have a link to the Facebook site on the Y Factor Facebook page. Once again, Ola, Jazakallahu khairan for your efforts, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless your project. Just finally, is there a deadline set for this?
No, there isn't, Mohammed. I've been dreaming about this for the last 2 years, trying to put it together and, find the right team and team up with the right people. I'm not going to rush. If I don't get the right subjects, I'm not going to do it, even if I have to hold on to it for the next 10 years. My loyalty is to the community and to represent the community really well and raise awareness and empathy, inshallah, for the mothers and these women. And I'm looking for the right subjects. And when I get that, it could be a month, it could be a year. It's depending on when it comes.
MashaAllah, that's sincerity at its finest. We will be updating our Y Factor listeners once the ship starts to sail. And inshallah, keep everyone in the loop on how this fantastic initiative is going. Once again, Ola, Jazakallahu khairan for your time. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you for your efforts and bless this fantastic project.
Thank you, Mohammed.
Wow, Mohammed, she's doing a great job with that, isn't she?
Absolutely, mashallah. And we hope our listeners can actually take heed to her call out and find any family members or friends they might have who have a family member who's incarcerated or locked up, and who have, the female side of the family who's willing to speak up about the difficulties they face and all the untold stories. So get onto our Facebook page and check out the Locked Up Facebook page, and we'll be right back after the break.
We will, inshallah.
To wrap up the program, you're listening to the Y Factor on 87.6
FM. Wait.
No, I'm recording the song. Go. Do whatever you want. Find someone.
Oh, mountains of Mecca, how did you mourn on the day that the beloved returned to his Lord? And up till the last breath escaped from his lips, he prayed that his ummah would find success. Oh, mountains of Mecca, how will it feel when the earth shall quake and tremble with fear, and we shall be gathered together to stand in the court of Allah with our deeds at hand. Oh, how we pray that on that day we'll be with those to whom Allah will say, peace be with you, I am pleased with you.
Oh, mountains of Mecca.
Mohammed.
Yeah.
We're live on air.
Oh, sorry. Welcome back to the Y Factor. We hope you enjoyed that interview and our news thus far.
So,
now,
our final segment of the episode, Mohammed.
This is actually a new segment. Rashwan is, such an ideas man, and he actually came up with this fantastic idea during the episode that we're going to jump onto our Facebook page live right here, right now.
Yep.
And check out, the best comments, the best posts.
Yep.
Rashwani, talk to us. How's the page going thus far?
The page is excellent, really. I mean, the people on it and the people typing comments and putting up pages and things like that. Excellent work from all our readers. You make us very proud over here at the Y Factor.
We love you guys. Keep posting your stories, and we even have some international listeners. Rami Mahmoud is actually posting those fantastic photos with their description as well.
Yeah,
so
inspirational.
Very active Facebook page with our 500 odd members. We're going to raise an army, inshallah, to get rid of Julie Gillard and instill Sharia law into the country. And
Whoa, relax. We're not Carl.
No?
We're not Carl Sandilands.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Actually, I've got something for you in Carl Sandilands, but I'll keep that to the end.
Okay, talk to us. So, what's some good comments that have been?
So we've had, like we said, we had a very active Facebook page. We're just going to go through back and pick out the best comments and stuff. So on Monday, Miran posted up a article by a certain Miranda Devine. Mohammed, did you read that?
I'm not a fan of Miranda Devine.
Not a lot of people are. So Miranda's talking about some kind of pamphlet going out in the Monash University for Muslim students there, and about how that's wrong and blah 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 blah. We all know the way she talks, the style she has.
Yeah, she's got some strings that have been pulled anyway.
Nonetheless, so we had some good comments come out. One of the highlights was by a certain Suha, who writes, "What a joke. They couldn't find anything better to pick on other than the handbooks we give out to students. Seriously, man." But like Faye, one of the other commenters, said, what more can we expect from The Telegraph? What more can we expect, Mohammed?
The Telegraph, trashy tabloid news. If you want The Telegraph.
There you go. Okay, moving on. Mohammed over here posted up a nice little article on the Afro story that we recently went over. And we had some seriously hilarious comments on that. One of the better ones was by a certain streamer who put at the front, honestly, was it really necessary to go to the media? It's just hair. Cut it. Though I guess they could have turned him into the school's microphone mascot. Save on the costume funds.
I like that comment.
Great stuff.
That's some sound advice for, Bilal's Reika if you're listening.
Yeah, great stuff, great stuff. So, the last piece of great Facebook authorship comes from Abdullah Hussein, who posted up a story about the infamous Carl Sanderlands and his latest attack on a journalist. Did you read about it, Mohammed?
Female journalist, all right?
Female
we know
journalist.
He loves attacking females.
He does indeed, doesn't he? It's quite unacceptable. Nonetheless, Abdullah Hussein says, what a storm Kyle has caused. Well, what he said about that journalist was extremely unacceptable. Tabloid journalists constantly attack people who are in the spotlight, from politicians to celebrities. Double standards. What do you think, Mohammed?
Don't get me started on Carl Sanderlands. I think, that our listener, Abdul, pretty much summed up everything. So it was a really viable
double-edged
comment.
sword, isn't it?
Definitely. There always is double standards in a lot of things that happens in the media, but that's why we're here.
That's right.
To give you the truth and only the truth, and you only accept from us and no one else.
That's right. We're the watchdog.
No, I'm just kidding. You're taking news from everywhere, but listen to the Y Factor every week.
Just keep track of our Facebook page. That's all the news you need.
That's right. Now, on to some of our events for the week. Basically, there's a two-day course organised by Al Kawthar Institute, who hosts these really wonderful, pertinent courses for Muslim students, for Muslims in general. Sorry, they're not exclusive to students only. We tried to get in contact with Sheikh Yahya Ibrahim, who's travelling from Canada to host the course, but unfortunately there were some communication issues. Nonetheless, there is a heart therapy course organised for this Saturday and Sunday, the 3rd and 4th of December.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's a 2-day weekend course, going to be held at Bankstown. Yep, Bankstown campus of UWS from 8:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. So they're full days.
Wow.
The cost of the 2-day course, is $95.
Not too bad. Not too bad.
It's okay. And everything from heart therapy. So talking about purification of the soul, anger, backbiting, envy, lying, liria, love of this world, miserliness, hatred, you name it. For more information, you can actually go to go to Muslim Village. They actually have it posted in their events category down there.
Check it out. Sounds good.
The Y Factor.
Yep, and moving on from that, the second event this week is enrollments for the 2012 Sharia course is now open, isn't it, Mohammed?
That's right. Sydney Islamic College, mind you, it has opened up its course enrollments for their diploma in Islamic studies, basically covering subjects including Islamic creed, aqidah, jurisprudence, fiqh, usul al-fiqh, the principles of jurisprudence, the sunnah and the sciences, the Quran, ethics and manners, and fiqh al-sirah, the biography. It's a total of 24 modules. Enrollments for 2012 are now open. For more information, go to www.sydneyic.org.au. The places are limited, and check out more information.
Yeah, get into that.
That's pretty much it, our episode for the week. We've had a very interesting segment.
Phew, that was tiring, man.
It was actually tiring. I needed water. I've never went through that many news items in one straight go, but we did it.
Yeah, we did it. We went through it, didn't we?
Yeah, some interesting stories from Syria to Egypt, even Israel.
Yeah,
and then we hit up Conrad
some sad
Murray.
stuff, some good stuff. I can't wait to see all your comments on Facebook.
Yeah, definitely. Looking forward to your response from this week's episode. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this week. You know what? We're going to leave with one more surprise. Our random spotlight segment. Now, we usually save it for earlier, but we're going to call up someone very
close to Mohammed's heart.
No, he's just random. He doesn't know we're going to call him, but I'm going to call him. He's a friend of mine and put him live on air because he loves the show and always, praises us for our work. Alhamdulillah. He's very kind-hearted. So I'm going to give him a call now and give him the opportunity to speak live on air.
Yeah, let's see what happens.
Okay, Mustafa, here we go.
All right, here we go.
I love these.
I'm shaking with excitement.
The suspense.
Hello.
Assalamu alaikum, Ihab. It's Muhammad and Mustafa from the Y Factor. How are you? Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. You speak a bit clearer into the phone. What are you doing at the moment?
Well, I'm just at work right now.
Are we going to get you fired?
No, it's alright. Luckily, I've got a Muslim boss, so it's all good with it.
Oh, man, stay in hiding, yeah? Don't get yourself fired.
What is it?
Don't get yourself fired, Mustafa was saying.
Hello?
Ihab.
So, do you want to give us a shout out to all our listeners?
Oh my goodness, Vodafone.
No.
Wait, we're going to call him back. I don't care. I'm not leaving this episode until he gets his, opportunity to say a few words about
I hope he doesn't get in trouble.
I know. Imagine he gets fired from us.
He sounds like he's in hiding in the bathroom or something.
He better not be in the bathroom. Ihab, you there?
Yep.
Okay, so I know obviously you're an avid, you love the Y Factor, you listen to the show week in, week out.
Yeah, no, I love it.
Are you in the bathroom or something? We can't really make out what you're saying. Okay.
Vodafone obviously does not like us today.
No, he had his opportunity, that's it. That was our random spotlight segment for the week.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to be on a random spotlight next week, give us a Facebook message and we'll see what we can do. We might give you a call. You never know.
Yep, and as always, your feedback is much appreciated.
Yeah, on our Facebook page, we love listening to all your comments. Keep on going on, and next week we'll be highlighting more comments.
Absolutely, we've got and just letting you know that the Y Factor will continue inshallah into the summer holidays because you guys love us that much, and our 100,000 strong listenership doesn't want us to leave for holidays.
Millions.
Sorry, not 100,000. How silly of me to say to limit the Y Factor's potential. Nonetheless, we haven't been given an opportunity to have a break, but nonetheless, we're going to stay and run throughout the summer. So stay with us week in, week out, every Thursday, and a repeat on Sunday between Maghrib and Isha. For the Y Factor, we're going to bring you all the latest. Look out for Human Appeal International's Sounds of Light. We're going to get exclusive interviews with Irfan Maki, Mehir Zain. That's right, sisters. I said Mehir Zain. I know you're fainting behind the radio or behind your computer screen, but we're going to lock in Mehir Zain, inshallah.
It's an action-packed summer. Absolutely. It really is.
Do not go anywhere. So, Rashwani, since I've had the pleasure of having you for the week, I want you to take it out for this week's episode.
So this is Mustafa Muhammad, wishing you well in all the exam results that are coming out soon, and wishing you well for the summer coming up, inshallah khair.
And stay safe, slip, slop and slap.
Yep.
Plenty of sunscreen, a lot of hat, a lot of chicken, a lot of barbecues, a lot of picnics, invite your relatives, catch up with family.
Ice cream, pools, beaches, mate, this is the best.
Don't get me started.
Here we
inshallah.
go.
In a halal context we're talking
halal context, of course.
Quite evidently.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, thanks again for your time this week, listeners.
This is Mustafa and Muhammad signing out of the Y Factor on 87.6 FM.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. There is no God but Allah. Muhammad is his messenger. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. There is no God but Allah. Muhammad is his messenger. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad Rasulillah. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad Nabi Allah. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad Rasulillah. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad Rasul of Allah.